Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. I am Dr. Kalabaya Anita, Assistant Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communications, Osmania University. In today's class, we are going to talk about television production process. Under this, we will discuss about shots, movements and production. What is a shot? Before we go into understanding what are different types of shots, let us first understand what is a shot. When you switch on a camera, from the time to when you record and you stop recording is a one particular type of a shot that you are trying to take. But that is not enough to understand. You need to understand, to give that aesthetic appealing feeling to your viewers, you have to use different types of shots. What are these types of shots that are going to help you? Here we can clearly see them. We have many, but I have listed here few for your better understanding, just to make a beginning of television production. Among them, first comes is the extreme long shot, full shot, medium shot, close-up shot and extreme close-up shot. Each of these shots has their own priority. We use them at certain requirement. We just don't use them randomly. They have their particular purpose. So, you need to understand as a program producer which shot to use and where to use. When we talk about extreme wide shot, as you can see, we don't really see the subject clearly in the extreme wide shot. What we can clearly is see the place where the person is standing is dominating in this kind of a shot. So, whenever you want to begin any program or an event, to make your viewers understand where is this happening, you use this shot. That is why we call it as extreme wide shot, or even sometimes it is called as establishing shot also. So, to make emphasize on the place where the situations is happening, you use the extreme shot. Then comes wide shot, or even called as a head to toe shot or full shot, which means you show your subject little better than the previous shot. So, this shot you will bring the subject closer to the camera and you avoid the location specifications. So, here location exists but does not dominate much. Similarly, when you go to the next shot, which is medium shot, which is also called as waist up shot. Medium shot is actually a shot where your subject is little more closer and you find better expressions of the person. And you all know very well television is a medium of expressions and you carry emotions with the expressions, and that is easily carried with the other shots that are coming now. Now remember, each of the shot you see the background slowly getting avoided, and what's coming is the subject into the picture and the expressions into the picture. So, each of them has importance and each of them has to be used in a proper way. That is very important to know. You cannot start your program or event directly with a close-up or extremely close-up. People will get confused. So, that is what is a language and a grammar means. You need to understand which shot to place where. When we write an essay also, or when we are writing something on a paper also, we need to have verbs, sentences properly structured, otherwise people won't understand. Similarly, if you won't put these shots in a proper order, people won't be able to understand. Then comes medium close up, which is more or less little closer to the medium close up or medium shot. Same as close up. Close up is very important, and majority of the shots that you see on television are close up shots. So, close up is a very important shot to know, and the expression is a very important thing. And certain areas wherever it is required, there only use the extreme close up to give more emphasis on the eyes of a person or on the smile of a person or some objective on a table, something like a knife after a murder or something you wanted to highlight that particular subject, then you go mostly extreme close up. So, extreme wide shot and extreme close up has a very rare appearance in a TV production, but do have very important role. But majority of the time what we dominantly see is the medium shot and close up shots. So, you need to master out these shots to understand, place them in an order, because this is how you build your production. So, shot play a key role. Then comes the camera movement. You must be observing them as well. Camera movements are something like pan, tilt, tracking and zoom. So, pan is something which is horizontal movement, means from left to right or from right to left. So, it has a specific speed with a pedestal you try to give, because you should not have a shake in your video. That is very important. So, these days you have mini tripods for your cameras at home with the phones also, but professional camera persons use a particular equipment that is provided to them during the shoot. Similarly, tilt means vertical movement, means up and down, and this gives a different complete look of a person if they wanted to grip. You must be observing all this in movies as well. Then comes the tracking. Tracking is a moving through space, means also called as a dolly shot, mounted on a conveying to follow the moving subject. Like you have the sports or athletes running or some car chasing scenes and all that. How do? They also travel. This is called the tracking shot. They also travel along with the subject, and the action is happening. The camera person will be along with them, sitting in some other vehicle and following them and tracking the shot. So, this is called the tracking movement. Then comes zoom, the most widely used mechanism, and lens. You have a different types of lenses also for zooms, but the lens focuses long shot to a close up. In this, the camera person will not move, but what moves is the lens. The lens goes closer or comes farther. So, like this they move and magnifies the subject if required, or then brings the details if necessary. So, zoom in and zoom out is mostly used, and zoom out reveals more of space and gives a lot of elements to be shown, but zoom in and zoom out also has to be carefully used. All the camera movements are very interesting and gives a different perspective, but that doesn't mean you can use them the way you wanted. You need to use them in a proper order. Now that you understood what shot is, what different types of shots are there, and then what are the different movements, let's get into understand the 3 stages of production. This is the actual thing that for which you are learnt all this. Now, when you are doing production, you have to divide it into 3 forms. One is pre-production, production and post-production. In pre-production is basically the planning, means before you start something you need to have on what you have to shoot, what you have to prepare, what you have to make. This is all the background that you do, and production is something where you actually go onto the field and then shoot. And finally comes the editing. You bring all of that to your newsroom or the editing suite, then you edit them. So, how do you do this production? Let us first start with the pre-production stage. What all come in a pre-production stage is developing a script, writing a storyboard, and then you have to do a research for writing a script. You just don't randomly write. You have to work a lot in terms of writing a script. You have to sit with your budget team because you need to select the locations, you have to go to the place, you need to take permissions are very, very important. If you don't take permission prior, they may say you no for your shoot also. So, paying to your artist, if you have somebody artist in your program, and then shooting schedule, all this comes in the pre-production. Pre-production is very, very important stage to understand, because here you have script, research and storyboard, location, permissions. Written approval is always safe. Sometimes on word they may approve, and the person who have approved may not be there on the time when you go for a shoot. Again, it may get delayed because you are taking permission from people and you are bringing all of them with lot of cost, and the day when you won't be able to shoot, it again a problem. So, then comes the production, actual day of action we can call it as, where you have to bring in all your equipment, whether you have your mics, tapes, batteries, all that are there or not. You have to check and check whether you are properly framing your shots or not, as we have just told. As I have just now told, you need to have different types of shots to be used, framing them with composition, with costume, makeup, and then if you have somebody to act in your program or in your story, you need to do rehearsals. They come on screen and they take too many takes, again it becomes a problem for you, isn't it? So, you should always make sure you give them rehearsals, bring them and then try to shoot, so that you don't waste the time and the money as well, because many people are involved when production comes. So, insert action shots, always take more shots than required, because it's necessary. Sometimes you may use them wherever it's required. You can't again reshoot everything, again it's a very difficult task to bring in everybody. So, better be careful when you are shooting only. And final stage comes is the post production. Post production is where you bring in all the footage, raw footage that you have shot in the studio, and then bring them to your particular editing suite. There you put them, label them, name them, what kind of scenes are there in which cassette is about songs, which cassette is about particular scenes. All that helps the editor to make his job easy, and record voiceovers if you have or you don't have, and also adding graphics to that, music, subtitles, names, and using the stock shots if you have. So, program ready, everything. The main editing is heart and soul also. If you do not shoot properly your content, your editor also cannot do anything. So, shooting how important, even the editing also equally important. In this way, everything in television production plays a key role, taking from a shot, using different types of shots, and how well you frame them in the events, everything. So, pre-production to post-production. In the next lesson, we will talk in detail about different types of cameras and different multi-camera setup and studio, outdoor and indoor shots. Thank you so much.